Hello and welcome back. I'm NATALIE MACDONALD and you're watching Dukascopy TV. Today we're talking investments, entrepreneurs and startups. I'm joined by Luigi Matrone of LovinCom. Luigi, pleasure to see you again.
Same.
Okay, so if we consider the starting of a business, the bottom line, capital, surely?
Cash flow. So together with capital, obviously, is the cash flow aspect of running a business. Now, if I do a little step back as an entrepreneur, going back to my own experience, an entrepreneur creating a startup, the first thing he's doing is looking for a business model and a viable business model. As Mr. Professor Steve Blank says in his book and on his blog, a startup ultimately is a company looking for a business model that can sell products. In that phase, you do need money, and that's the moment where, as an entrepreneur, you will put your own money or look for your friends and family money. When the business starts growing and you have the first customers, then capital as investment capital becomes definitely the bottom line. No capital, no business.
I wanted to ask you about angel investors.
Yeah.
Now, what are these and what does it mean to be one also?
Well, the angel investor is indeed a person that has the ability to invest money into a company, either at the startup stage, so very early, or later on when the business has started to roll, but the company doesn't need huge amounts of money. So in general, an angel investor is investing between 10,000 to 50 or 100,000 Swiss francs, and those money are needed to help the business. The angel investor is going to get equity in return of the investment. And what you have right now is globally, countries like the US have rules for angel investors, while other countries are still a bit more loose. Yet, networks of angel investors are built pretty much everywhere in the world. And to those that want to approach angel investments, I would suggest a huge global network of investors that is called angel.co, angel.co, because in there you can find peers that have started investing and you can find information where they can tell you how to get started and what to watch out and how to do it.
Now, crowdfunding is something which you've spoken about here in the studio previously. What are the benefits of crowdfunding over equity investments and also perhaps vice versa?
Well, first of all, we talked about crowdfunding in the sense of non-equity crowdfunding in the past. That type of investment is usually not for investors that are looking for equity returns, but mostly for normal people that are curious about the startup and the products they have, and they want to buy their product before. That's the crowdfunding you do on platforms like Kickstarters or Indiegogo. For investors, there are platforms that are meant to give a pool of angel investors equity into a company. Now, what these platforms do is they give investors the business plan, the terms and conditions, the legal support to invest in a startup, but all in a standardized way. So the angel investor will not act necessarily one-to-one with the startup, but there is a pool of investors and they are all together investing in a startup. The pro is obviously you get support and you save on legal costs. You have, let's say, you're not alone into the investment of the startup, but there are other people you can share information with. The downside is, obviously, if you're looking for more equity into the business, you're going to split it with other investors. So it depends how much money you want to invest and what stage is the startup you want to invest in at.
What sort of portfolio then should an investor kind of already have in the bank when considering adding a startup investment to that mix?
Well, certainly startup investment, especially when it is early startup investment, is a very risky investment. So if I quote very senior and professional investors from the US, they will say the type of investor that is investing in a startup is a person that is balancing his portfolio with a very high risk item, and so he knows he's going to do that. Also, what they will tell you is to seek for up to 25% return on the investment year on year for your own money. So these are two considerations to keep in mind. On one side is a high risk investment, which needs to be considered equally to hedge fund investments or similar. On the other side, high return year on year. Obviously, if you are a professional investor, if you are friends or family of an entrepreneur, you're not looking at those things.
Luigi, thank you so much. Lovely to have you into the
Thank
studio
you.
with your entrepreneurial hat on.
Thank you.
That's all we've got time for right now, but we'll be back shortly with plenty more exclusive interviews with industry leaders. So do stay tuned. Goodbye.